What's up, everybody? In this video, we're going to be unpacking what vocal misuse and overuse is and why it's damaging for the voice. Vocal misuse and overuse is the biggest contributing factor to vocal injury and fatigue. Here are the ways that you can misuse or overuse your voice. A lot of vocal problems are actually caused by the speaking voice. Think about it. We speak way more than we sing. And it's the same mechanism. Those vocal folds are still coming together at a pretty quick rate. And so the way that we use our speaking voice is just as important as the way that we use our singing voice. So one way that we can overuse our voice is by continuing to speak or sing when our voice is tired or hoarse. When you're feeling achy or strained or just vocally tired, maybe your throat hurts or it's just getting increasingly harder to sing or speak, you should just take it easy. If you're continuing to speak or sing in this condition, then you're probably singing on slightly raw vocal folds, and that's going to put them at risk for injury. As we've talked about, coughing is going to be a quick way to tire out the vocal folds. Of course, this is something that may be difficult to prevent if you're sick, although of course there are medications that you can get to reduce the amount of coughing that you have. Again, if you are in this condition, you're probably going to want to stop singing and speaking for a good amount of time until the voice has the opportunity to heal. But along with this is excessive and harsh throat clearing. Most people, when they're clearing their throat, are instinctively trying to flick thick mucus off of their vocal folds. But that excessive and harsh throat clearing is pretty tiring. So if you absolutely have to do it, try to do it more gently or just drink some water. Another factor is talking for hours and hours and hours and hours. A lot of people get vocally tired after talking on the phone for a long period of time, especially talking in noisy places or maybe talking really low for a long period of time. One can overuse the voice by simply singing too much. There are 4 varies to singing too much: very high, very low, very loud, or very soft. So any sort of extreme when it comes to singing for a prolonged period of time is going to be pretty tiring for the voice. Screaming or yelling is a really big one, and this one's actually pretty dangerous because a person can get a vocal injury almost instantly from screaming or yelling. I'm sure most people have experienced a day at an amusement park where they come home pretty hoarse. However, one scream that is extremely harsh on the voice can cause a vocal injury almost instantly. We'll talk more about this in a video on vocal conditions, but it's really important to know that screaming or yelling is actually really traumatic for the voice, especially when it's got a really chesty, chest dominant scream, as opposed to something that's really high pitched. And so this is something that singers especially are going to want to try to avoid. I know it makes riding roller coasters a little bit of a different experience, but sometimes it's fun to just pop out an operatic high A on a roller coaster. You'll definitely get some interesting looks from people around you. And finally, unsupported singing or speaking. So singing or speaking that doesn't have a good breath underneath you. Some people will continue to speak after they've run out of breath and it starts to get really gritty like this and get into a vocal fry because a person's not taking a good enough breath when they speak. This is not a great habit for the voice because the voice really needs to be supported by air. And of course, all the technical factors that we've talked about in our earlier lessons have a role to play in vocal health. So a person is going to be able to sing for a longer period of time when they've got good technique because it relies on resonance and technical alignment as opposed to more energy and effort in the muscles of the voice. Now, this can play a role in speaking too. Some people have speaking voices that are naturally harsh on the vocal folds, or sometimes a person has a profession that is extremely vocal demanding, such as teaching or giving presentations or something of that nature. For a person who is finding that their ordinary speaking is becoming very tiring for the voice, a good option might be to see a speech pathologist. Speech pathologists specialize in the way that we produce speech, and they can be really helpful in helping us retrain speaking habits in order to have a healthier voice over a long period of time. So when you're feeling tired or hoarse or vocally fatigued, maybe stop and think about if any of these factors have contributed to your current state. It takes time and mindfulness to make changes in our life that are going to produce better vocal health, but it's definitely going to be beneficial in the long run because it's going to allow us to have longevity in our speaking and singing voices, which is a really good thing. Until next time, see you later.